The RAI for inviting us here. We're very happy and pleased to be able to share with you the experiences that we've had over the years with some of the biggest companies in retail today, focusing on their supply chain. I think that one of the points I'd like to talk about today is that we see a tremendous shift happening in the market regarding how people consider their supply chains. So supply chains historically have been, an enabler or a supporting player, if you will. Given the conditions that Mr. Kumar was speaking of in the beginning regarding the customer dynamic, the customer-driven supply chain, and the economic factors, and pressures that we're all under today, this is really changing our perspective of what our supply chains need to be. And they need to be an enabler of differentiation and innovation in our company and really moving companies forward. So what I thought I'd like to do today is talk about collaboration and how that fits into the world-class supply chain. I think a lot of what you're going to hear reinforces a lot of what Mr. Strauss just talked about. So I think that's good news for all of us. So I'd like to take a look at why is collaboration so important, what's happening in the market, where are these pressures coming from, and then ultimately, what is the value to your organization to attempt or undertake a new collaborative perspective regarding your supply chains. And then lastly, I'll close with a point of view regarding GT Nexus in particular. So when we look at why is collaboration so important, I think, as I said, there's a tremendous amount of pressure that your companies are under today, pressures on margin, pressures on revenue growth, pressures throughout each and every department across the functions. So we see increasing competition. In the States in particular, we're seeing massive innovation in the types of retailers that are out there. So it's not just Amazon that's pressuring the American retailers. There's new companies like Zappos really raising the bar and expectations on customer service levels. There are companies like Zulily who are starting up with very, very refined specialization, which differentiates them from the rest of their competitors. So you have these market pressures. We have the economic pressures that most of us have been under globally. It's not an Asia-Pacific thing or an American thing in that case. And we also have the rising regulatory pressures that we're under. And what this means to all of us at the end of the day is that our supply chains are becoming more and more complex. So we're sourcing in more organizations. We're looking to reduce our product costs. We're looking for product expertise, possibly. And we're looking for new relations on the sourcing side. Importantly, many of you are not only trying to grow here in India, but maybe possibly considering foreign markets. Clearly, with the American and European retailers, they have been expanding into each other's geographies quite aggressively recently. And so this escalation of sourcing and distribution models is really adding complexity to the end-to-end supply chain. In addition to that, we have this SKU explosion. Customers are looking for the endless aisle opportunity. So now we have more products, more collections, more destinations, more customers, more channels, more regulation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can see this rising complexity is something that we all share. All retailers share this across the globe. And so how are we collaborating today? How are we managing our supply chains in this environment? And very similar to what Mr. Strauss was just speaking to, we look at the systems that we have internally, these systems of record. These are our ERP systems, maybe our product development systems, our fulfillment and distribution systems like warehouse management, for example. And what you see here are the parties that we deal with in our supply chain. So with this growing complexity, we also have a growing number of parties that we have to deal with, whether it's on the logistics side of the house, inspection companies, mills, dye houses, new vendors, new customers, et cetera. And I think what you see here is a very fair representation of what exists in retail today. Email, de facto standard for communication, I think we can all agree. And that's a global trend. That's not just here in the Asia market. We see companies who have invested in web portals over the years. The use of spreadsheets is ubiquitous. It's the #1 supply chain system in the world is Excel. And the proprietary partner systems. So maybe you use Maersk for track and trace, or UPS or DHL for track and trace tools, or